North Korea can now produce its own 5,000-ton class destroyers, and it is also equipped with phased array radars. What the fuck, with the phased array radar, how would Russia feel if they saw this? Russia can't even build a 5,000-ton class destroyer, but now North Korea has managed to do it. There must be something wrong here. Take a close look at what this destroyer resembles. Look at it from head to toe, from the radar to the vertical launch system. Look at its appearance and see whom it looks like. That's why I just said that there must be something fishy about this. With North Korea's capabilities, how could it possibly build such an advanced destroyer? Can it manufacture active phased array radars? Even the destroyers of the United States can't afford to use them, right? The United States is still using those old fishbone-type radars. But now North Korea is already equipped with such advanced active phased array radars. This is definitely not normal. So it must have been sold to them by someone, right? And regarding its vertical launch system, do you think this kind of vertical launch system is so easy to develop? Currently, there are only 3 countries in the world that possess this technology. The warships built by South Korea and Japan all use the American Mark series of vertical launch systems. Even these 2 developed countries can't develop this kind of vertical launch system, yet North Korea has already equipped its ships with a vertical launch system. It's simply unbelievable. The more I talk about it, the more I feel like I'm in the presence of something truly incredible. Then let's talk about its naval gun system. It looks like it has a caliber of 130 millimeters, which is quite large. For a 5,000-ton class warship to be equipped with such a large caliber naval gun, it somewhat gives the impression of a small horse pulling a big cannon. It's definitely aimed at highlighting its land attack capabilities, that is, launching strikes from the sea towards the land. Then let's look at its vertical launch system. To be honest, I couldn't clearly see how many vertical launch tubes there are in total, counting both the front and the rear of this warship. But just by taking a rough look, I estimate there might be around 70 or 80. That's quite a lot. The Arleigh Burke-class destroyer of the United States has a displacement of 9,000 tons and 90 vertical launch tubes. The Type 052D destroyer of China has a displacement of 7,000 tons and 60 vertical launch tubes. This thing of North Korea's is of the 5,000-ton class, and they've installed around 70 or 80 vertical launch tubes on it. To be honest, it's really not an exaggeration to describe it as a hedgehog. What's even more astonishing is that there's actually a helicopter landing pad at the stern of this warship. Although it's very small and narrow. Why is that? It's because they've allocated most of the space to the vertical launch system at the rear. Moreover, that vertical launch system is made quite thick and large. So I suspect that they might be aiming to highlight the capability of launching ballistic missiles. Logically speaking, in the whole world, among the countries that have the technology to launch ballistic missiles from warships, currently, only China's Type 055 and Type 052D destroyers can launch the Eagle Strike 21. But now, looking at this warship of North Korea, it seems that it can also launch ballistic missiles. When it comes to missiles, don't underestimate North Korea. Their ballistic missiles can now reach as far as 16,000 kilometers at the longest range, and in terms of long-range projection capabilities, they are not inferior to any other country. It's just that we don't know how well North Korea has done in the miniaturization of missiles. If this aspect can be overcome, then it is very likely that this warship will be capable of launching ballistic missiles. That is to say, North Korea will possess the ability to carry out large-scale strikes on land from the sea. Therefore, this capability poses a great deterrent to both Japan and South Korea. Then, North Korea also has cruise missiles. You can be sure that it will definitely integrate these cruise missiles into the vertical launch system. Because cruise missiles can not only be used for anti-ship purposes but also for land attacks. For example, they are very effective in hitting the enemy's airport runways. They can strike with great accuracy. Or when used for anti-ship purposes, they can fly close to the sea surface. In this way, they can avoid being detected by radar, which poses a great threat to warships. So overall, this warship of North Korea is indeed worthy of praise. However, as the saying goes, it is 100% certain that it was not entirely built by North Korea itself. Take the radar and the vertical launch system for example. They must have been purchased. In more professional terms, it is a technology introduction. However, it is truly remarkable that they were able to integrate such a complex system. Just think about the current phased array radar. It is so large and heavy. It is a really huge device. This poses a rather significant challenge to the basic infrastructure of their shipbuilding industry, doesn't it? And those measuring instruments and so on, they all have to be of very high precision. It's really not easy for North Korea to be able to integrate all these precisely. So in recent years, North Korea has made really rapid progress, especially in the fields of missile technology, shipbuilding industry, nuclear energy, and so on. Well, that's all for this episode.